You have worked hard. You have done everything you were told to do. You have saved when you could. You have sacrificed things you wanted. You have prayed and hoped and wished for something better, and yet the lack remains, the bills keep piling up, the money runs out before the month does, and you lie awake at night wondering why prosperity seems to flow so easily to others while it passes you by. And I want you to know right now that this is not your fault. You have not failed because you are lazy or unlucky or cursed. You have struggled because no one ever taught you the real laws of abundance. No one ever showed you how your own mind has been programmed for scarcity. No one ever explained that the thoughts you think and the words you speak and the feelings you feel are the very blueprints creating your financial reality. But today, everything changes. Today, you will learn how to cure lack and limitation at its root. Today, you will discover the simple techniques that reprogram your subconscious mind for prosperity. Today, you will understand why wealth has eluded you and exactly what to do to call it forth into your life, starting right now. You have been living under the shadow of lack and limitation for far too long, carrying burdens that were never meant to be yours, believing lies about scarcity that have no foundation in the infinite reality of God. And today, right now, in this very moment, you are being invited to step into a truth that will transform every area of your life, a truth that has been waiting for you since the beginning of time, a truth that says you were born to live in abundance, you were created to experience overflow, you were designed by an infinite intelligence that knows nothing of poverty, nothing of lack, nothing of limitation, and this same intelligence lives within you, breathes through you, thinks through you, and is ready, willing, and eager to pour its riches into your experience the moment you open your mind to receive them. The reason you have struggled with money, the reason you have worried about bills, the reason you have felt trapped by circumstances beyond your control is not because the universe is against you, not because God has forgotten you, not because you are unlucky or cursed or destined to suffer, but simply because no one ever taught you the laws of abundance. No one ever showed you how your own mind creates your experience. No one ever explained that the thoughts you think and the beliefs you hold are the very blueprints that shape your financial reality. A man once came to Dr. Packable SPT, Joseph Murphy, in great distress, saying that he had worked hard all his life. He had been honest and decent and fair, yet he could never seem to get ahead. And Dr. Joseph Murphy looked at him with compassion and said, "My friend, your problem is not your circumstances. Your problem is not the economy. Your problem is not your employer or your family or your location. Your problem is the poverty picture you have been holding in your subconscious mind, the image of lack that you have been feeding day after day, year after year. And until you change that inner picture, no amount of outer effort will ever bring you the prosperity you seek. This is the great secret that has been hidden from the masses. This is the pearl of great price that most people never discover. The absolute law that your outer world is always a perfect reflection of your inner world. That wealth begins in consciousness before it ever appears in your bank account. That abundance is first a state of mind before it becomes a state of affairs. The infinite intelligence that created the stars and the planets, that designed the human body with all its miraculous functions, that causes the seasons to change and the tides to flow and the sun to rise each morning without fail, this same intelligence is the source of all supply, the fountain of all abundance, the origin of every form of wealth that has ever existed or will ever exist. And you, beloved listener, are connected to this infinite source right now. You are plugged into this eternal power station this very moment. You have access to unlimited supply simply because you are a living expression of the divine presence, a child of the infinite, an heir to all the riches of the kingdom. The problem has never been that there is not enough, for the universe is overflowing with abundance. The earth is filled with resources beyond measure. Opportunities surround you on every side. Wealth is circulating through the economy, constantly seeking those who will receive it. And the only thing that has ever stood between you and the prosperity that is rightfully yours is the belief in lack that you have accepted into your subconscious mind. The false idea that there is not enough to go around, the lie that someone else's gain must be your loss, the illusion that money is hard to get and even harder to keep. A woman told Dr. Joseph Murphy that she had prayed for prosperity for many years, but nothing had changed. Her bank account remained empty, her bills continued to pile up, and she could not understand why God had not answered her prayers. And Dr. Brestos, Joseph Murphy gently explained that God always answers prayer. The law always works. But she had been praying in a state of lack, affirming her poverty even as she asked for wealth, focusing on what she did not have rather than claiming what was already hers in the infinite mind of God. You must understand that your subconscious mind does not know the difference between what you want and what you fear. It simply accepts whatever you impress upon it with feeling and conviction. And if you are constantly thinking about lack, worrying about bills, and dwelling on how little you have, you are programming your subconscious for more lack, more limitation, more of the very conditions you wish to escape. The cure for lack begins in your mind. It begins with a decision, a firm resolve to change your thinking, to reject every thought of poverty, to refuse every suggestion of limitation, and to claim your divine inheritance as a child of infinite abundance. There is a law of attraction operating in the universe that is as certain as the law of gravity, as reliable as the law of cause and effect, as predictable as the law of mathematics. And this law states simply that like attracts like, that you draw into your life whatever you consistently think about, feel deeply about, and believe to be true. And this means that if you want to cure lack and limitation in your life, you must first cure lack and limitation in your mind. You must root out every thought of poverty that has taken up residence in your consciousness. You must evict every belief in scarcity that has made itself at home in your subconscious. You must cleanse your mental house of every image of want and replace it with pictures of abundance, prosperity, and overflow. The wealthy think differently than the poor, not because they are better or smarter or more deserving, but because they have accepted certain beliefs about money that cause them to attract it. They have formed certain mental habits that draw prosperity to them like a magnet draws iron filings. They have learned, whether consciously or unconsciously, to use the law of mind in their favor rather than against themselves. Dr. Joseph Murphy often told the story of a businessman who had lost everything in a financial crash, who found himself without money, without prospects, without hope, but who refused to accept poverty as his permanent condition, who began each morning affirming that infinite abundance was his by divine right, who visualized his bank account overflowing, who gave thanks for wealth even when his pockets were empty, and within 1 year this man had rebuilt his fortune to an even greater level than before, because he understood that outer circumstances must eventually conform to inner conviction, that the law of mind is no respecter of conditions, that what you can conceive and believe you can achieve. You have the power to change your financial situation. You have the ability to transform your relationship with money. You have within you right now the creative intelligence that can lead you to prosperity beyond your wildest dreams, and all that is required is that you learn to use your mind correctly, that you align your thoughts with abundance rather than lack, that you train your subconscious to expect success rather than failure, that you develop an unshakable faith in the infinite supply that is always available to those who know how to receive it. Your subconscious mind is like a fertile garden that will grow whatever seeds you plant in it. It does not judge or evaluate or decide what should grow and what should not. It simply takes whatever you give it and multiplies it, magnifies it, brings it forth into visible expression. And if you have been planting seeds of lack, seeds of worry, seeds of fear about money, then you have been growing a garden of limitation. You have been cultivating a harvest of scarcity. You have been using your creative power to produce the very conditions you wish to escape. But here is the wonderful news. Here is the truth that can set you free from every form of financial bondage. You can change what you are planting. You can choose new seeds. You can begin right now, today, this very moment, to fill your mind with thoughts of abundance, to impress your subconscious with images of wealth, to saturate your consciousness with a feeling of prosperity. And as you do this consistently, persistently, faithfully, you will begin to see changes in your outer world that match the changes in your inner world. A young man who had grown up in poverty came to Dr. Joseph Murphy asking how he could break free from the pattern of lack that seemed to follow him wherever he went. And Dr. Joseph Murphy gave him a simple technique, telling him to repeat to himself each night before sleep and each morning upon waking these words, "I am wealthy, I am prosperous, infinite riches are mine by divine right, money flows to me freely and abundantly, I am a magnet for prosperity." And the young man followed these instructions faithfully, even though at first it felt strange to affirm wealth when his wallet was empty. Even though his circumstances seemed to contradict his words, he persisted in his mental work, and within 6 months he had received a promotion, discovered a new investment opportunity, and begun to accumulate wealth for the first time in his life. The technique works because it works with the law, because it impresses the subconscious mind with the idea of abundance, because it replaces the old poverty programming with new prosperity programming, and your subconscious, being impersonal and obedient, must bring forth whatever you consistently impress upon it with faith and feeling. One of the greatest obstacles to prosperity is the belief that money is evil, that wealth is somehow unspiritual, that God wants you to be poor, and this false belief has kept millions of sincere people trapped in lack, has caused countless good men and women to reject the very abundance that was meant to be theirs, has created a guilt around money that blocks the flow of prosperity as surely as a dam blocks the flow of a river. But consider for a moment the truth about money. Consider what it really is, and you will see that money is simply a symbol of exchange, a medium through which goods and services flow from one person to another, a neutral energy that can be used for good or ill depending on the consciousness of the one who holds it. And there is nothing evil about money itself, any more than there is anything evil about water or electricity or sunlight. Dr. Joseph Murphy taught that God is the source of all supply, that the infinite intelligence wants you to have everything you need to live a full, rich, and abundant life, that it is the will of the divine that you prosper and be in health even as your soul prospers. And when you understand this truth, when you really grasp that the universe is friendly to your prosperity, when you accept that you have a divine right to be wealthy, something shifts in your consciousness. The blocks begin to dissolve, the guilt begins to release, and you become open to receive the abundance that has been waiting for you all along. Money in the hands of good people does good in the world. Wealth in the possession of kind and generous souls blesses everyone it touches. Support worthy causes, create employment for others, and be a blessing to your community, and there is nothing more spiritual than using the gifts of the infinite to bring light and love and healing to a world in need. So release now any belief that money is bad, let go of any guilt about wanting to prosper, reject any teaching that says poverty is noble, and open your mind to the truth that abundance is your birthright. Prosperity is your inheritance, and wealth is the natural expression of a consciousness that is aligned with the infinite source of all good. The thoughts you think about money are constantly creating your financial reality. Every single thought is a seed planted in the garden of your subconscious mind, and these seeds grow in accordance with the law. They sprout and develop and eventually bear fruit in your outer experience. Which is why it is so vitally important that you become aware of what you are thinking, that you monitor your mental conversation, that you pay attention to the silent words you speak to yourself throughout the day. For these inner statements are shaping your financial future moment by moment, hour by hour, day by day. When you catch yourself thinking thoughts like, I cannot afford it, or money is tight, or I will never get ahead, you must recognize these as seeds of lack that will produce a harvest of limitation if allowed to take root, and you must immediately reject them, cast them out of your mind, replace them with thoughts of abundance, thoughts of prosperity, thoughts that affirm your connection to the infinite supply that knows no lack and recognizes no limitation. A woman told Dr. Joseph Murphy that she constantly worried about money, that she lay awake at night wondering how she would pay her bills, that she felt a knot of anxiety in her stomach whenever she thought about her finances, and Dr. Joseph Murphy explained to her that this worry was not protecting her from poverty but actually creating it, that her fear was a prayer in reverse, that she was using the creative power of her mind to produce the very conditions she feared, and he taught her to replace her worry with trust, her fear with faith, her anxiety with affirmation, and as she practiced this mental discipline, her financial situation began to improve in ways she could never have predicted or planned. You must understand that worry is not just an unpleasant emotion. It is a creative force. It is mental energy directed toward what you do not want. It is a form of negative prayer that attracts more of what you fear, and if you truly want to cure lack and limitation in your life, you must cure the habit of worry. You must train your mind to dwell on abundance rather than scarcity, on solutions rather than problems, on the infinite supply rather than the appearance of lack. Every time you catch yourself worrying about money, and say to yourself, I trust the infinite intelligence within me to guide me to prosperity, I release this worry and claim my good. I know that abundance is flowing to me now from expected and unexpected sources. And as you practice this consistently, you will find that the worry loses its grip on you, the fear begins to dissolve, and you enter into a state of peaceful expectancy that is the perfect mental climate for prosperity to flourish. Gratitude is one of the most powerful forces you can employ in your journey from lack to abundance. For gratitude shifts your focus from what you do not have to what you do have. It opens your eyes to the blessings that are already present in your life. It raises your vibration to match the frequency of prosperity, and it sends a clear message to your subconscious mind and to the universe that you are ready to receive more, that you appreciate what has been given, that you are a worthy steward of abundance. When you wake each morning and give thanks for the roof over your head, the food on your table, the clothes on your back, the air in your lungs, the beating of your heart, you are activating the law of increase. You are priming the pump of prosperity. You are setting in motion spiritual forces that must respond to your gratitude with greater good, with multiplied blessings, with abundance pressed down, shaken together, and running over. Dr. Joseph Murphy often recommended that his students keep a gratitude journal, writing down each night at least 10 things they were grateful for, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant, because this practice trains the mind to look for good, to expect blessings, to recognize the abundance that is already present, and a mind that is conditioned to see abundance will attract more abundance. A consciousness that is focused on blessings will receive more blessings. A heart that is filled with thanksgiving will overflow with prosperity. A man who had been struggling financially for years began this simple practice of daily gratitude, and at first it was difficult because his mind was so accustomed to focusing on lack. But he persisted, finding things to appreciate even in the midst of his difficulties, and within weeks he noticed a shift in his attitude, a lightness in his spirit, a new optimism about his future, and within months his outer circumstances began to reflect his inner transformation. Opportunities appeared that he had never seen before. His income increased. His debts decreased, and he discovered that gratitude had opened a door to prosperity that no amount of worry or struggle could have opened. Begin today to practice radical gratitude, to give thanks not only for what you have, but for what is coming, to appreciate not only your current blessings but your future prosperity, to thank the infinite intelligence for the abundance that is already yours in mind, even before it appears in form, and you will discover that gratitude is indeed the master key to abundance. The words you speak have tremendous power to shape your reality, for words are not just sounds that disappear into the air, they are creative forces. They are containers of energy. They carry vibrations that influence your subconscious mind and attract corresponding experiences into your life. And if you have been speaking words of lack, words of limitation, words of poverty, you have been using this creative power against yourself. You have been building walls around your prosperity. You have been programming your mind for scarcity with every complaint, every negative statement, every expression of financial fear. From this moment forward, make a commitment to speak only words of abundance, to let prosperity flow from your lips, to use your voice as an instrument of blessing rather than cursing, and watch how your life begins to transform as your words align with the infinite supply. Dr. Joseph Murphy taught that the Word is the beginning of all creation, that in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, and this means that your words participate in the divine creative process, that what you declare with conviction tends to manifest in your experience, that your mouth is a gateway through which either blessings or cursings enter your life. A woman who had struggled with debt for many years came to Dr. Joseph Murphy seeking help, and after listening to her speak for just a few minutes, he understood the root of her problem. For nearly every sentence contained words of lack. She spoke constantly of what she could not afford, of how expensive everything was, of how money never stayed in her hands, of how she would probably always be poor, and Dr. Joseph Murphy prescribed a simple cure, telling her to fast from negative financial speech for 30 days, to speak only words of abundance, to catch herself whenever she was about to say something negative about money and replace it with a positive statement. And though it was difficult at first, she persisted in this verbal discipline, and by the end of the 30 days her entire consciousness had shifted. And her financial circumstances began to shift as well, because she had changed the creative words that were shaping her reality. Speak abundance into existence. Declare prosperity over your life. Affirm wealth with your words, and let every sentence that leaves your mouth be a seed of blessing that will grow into a harvest of plenty. Visualization is a powerful technique for impressing the subconscious mind with images of prosperity. For your subconscious thinks in pictures. It responds to mental imagery. It cannot tell the difference between a vividly imagined experience and an actual experience. And when you consistently visualize yourself as wealthy, prosperous, and abundant, your subconscious accepts this as reality and begins working to bring your outer circumstances into alignment with your inner pictures. Take time each day to close your eyes and create detailed mental movies of your prosperous life. See yourself checking your bank account and smiling at the large balance. See yourself paying all your bills with money to spare. See yourself living in the home of your dreams, driving the car you desire, taking the vacations you have longed for, giving generously to causes you believe in, and as you see these pictures clearly in your mind, feel the emotions you would feel if these things were already true. Let yourself experience the joy, the gratitude, the peace, the satisfaction of living in abundance. A man who was deeply in debt told Dr. Joseph Murphy that he could not visualize prosperity because his current reality was so far from it. And Dr. Joseph Murphy reminded him that this was precisely why visualization was so important. That if his outer circumstances were already prosperous, he would not need to use this technique. That visualization is for bridging the gap between where you are and where you want to be. That it is the tool by which you impress your subconscious with a new blueprint for your life. The man followed the instructions, spending 15 minutes each morning and 15 minutes each evening, visualizing himself debt-free and prosperous, feeling the feelings of financial freedom, seeing himself as wealthy, and though nothing changed immediately in his outer world, He noticed that his attitude began to shift, his creativity increased, new ideas came to him, opportunities he had previously overlooked became visible, and step by step, month by month, his visualizations began to materialize. Until within 2 years he was completely debt-free and building real wealth for the first time in his life. Your imagination is the workshop of your mind. It is the place where your future is designed. It is the studio where the movies of your life are produced before they appear on the screen of reality. So use it wisely, use it deliberately, use it for prosperity. The feeling of abundance is more important than the facts of your current situation, for it is feeling that impresses the subconscious mind. It is emotion that charges your thoughts with creative power. It is the way you feel that determines what you attract. And if you can learn to feel abundant even when your circumstances say otherwise, you will have discovered one of the greatest secrets of prosperity. You will have unlocked a power that can transform lack into plenty, regardless of where you are starting from. Many people make the mistake of waiting until they have money to feel prosperous, waiting until their debts are paid to feel free, waiting until their bank account is full to feel wealthy. But this is backwards. This is putting the cart before the horse. This is trying to get the fruit before planting the seed. For the feeling must come first. The inner state must precede the outer manifestation. The consciousness of abundance must be established before the evidence of abundance can appear. Dr. Caperi, Joseph Murphy counseled a young woman who was struggling to make ends meet, and he asked her how she felt about money, and she admitted that she felt poor, she felt anxious, she felt hopeless, she felt that no matter what she did, she would never get ahead. And Dr. Joseph Murphy explained that these feelings were the very cause of her poverty, that she was attracting lack because she was radiating lack, that the universe was responding to her emotional broadcast and sending her more of what matched her signal. He taught her to practice feeling wealthy, to close her eyes several times a day and generate the feelings of abundance, security, and prosperity, to let herself feel rich even if only for a few minutes at a time, to make this feeling so familiar that it became her dominant emotional state. And as she did this, she noticed that her circumstances began to change, not all at once, but gradually, steadily, as her outer world came into alignment with her inner state. You have the power to choose how you feel. You can generate emotions through the focus of your mind. You can cultivate the feeling of abundance through practice and intention. And when you do this consistently, you become a magnet for prosperity. You become a channel through which infinite abundance can flow into visible expression. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. And when it comes to curing lack and limitation, faith is the bridge between your current circumstances and the prosperity that awaits you. It is the invisible force that transforms thought into reality, that turns mental images into material manifestations, that takes the seeds you have planted in your subconscious mind and brings them forth into visible expression in your life. Without faith, your affirmations are empty words. Your visualizations are mere daydreams. Your prayers are powerless petitions that fall to the ground unanswered. But with faith, with genuine conviction, with absolute certainty that the law is working on your behalf, you become an unstoppable force for prosperity. You become a channel through which infinite abundance must flow. You become a living demonstration of the truth that all things are possible to those who believe. A businessman came to Dr. Joseph Murphy after losing his company, his savings, and his confidence, and he asked how he could possibly have faith in prosperity when everything around him spoke of failure, when his bank account was empty, when his creditors were calling, when his future seemed hopeless. And Dr. Joseph Murphy told him that faith is not believing because of evidence. Faith is believing in spite of evidence. Faith is holding fast to the invisible truth when the visible facts seem to contradict it. Faith is knowing that the law of your mind is always working, even when you cannot see the results. The man decided to act on this teaching. He chose to have faith in abundance, even though his circumstances screamed lack. He affirmed prosperity every day with conviction. He visualized success with certainty. He gave thanks for wealth before it appeared, and though the process took time and required great mental discipline, his faith eventually moved mountains. His persistence paid off. His conviction proved justified. And within 3 years he had not only recovered everything he had lost, but had built a fortune far greater than before. Your faith does not have to be perfect to be effective. You do not have to eliminate every doubt before you can prosper. You simply need enough faith to take the next step, enough conviction to keep affirming, enough trust to keep visualizing, enough certainty to keep expecting. And as you exercise this faith, it will grow stronger, your doubts will diminish, your confidence will increase, and you will see more and more evidence that the law is working in your favor. One of the most destructive habits that keeps people trapped in lack and limitation is the habit of comparing themselves to others, of looking at what other people have and feeling envious, of measuring their own worth by someone else's wealth, of believing that another person's abundance somehow diminishes their own supply. And this habit must be broken. This mental pattern must be changed. This destructive comparison must be replaced with the understanding that there is enough for everyone, that the infinite supply is unlimited, that another person's prosperity does not take anything away from you but actually adds to the flow of abundance in the world. When you feel envy towards someone who has more than you are sending a powerful message to your subconscious mind that you do not have enough, that wealth is scarce, that prosperity is a limited resource that must be competed for, and this message creates more lack in your experience, attracts more limitation into your life, and pushes the very abundance you desire further away from you. Dr. Joseph Murphy taught that the proper response to seeing prosperity in others is not envy but blessing. For when you bless another person's wealth, you align yourself with abundance. When you rejoice in someone else's prosperity, you open yourself to receive the same. When you celebrate the success of others, you send a message to your subconscious that wealth is good, that prosperity is desirable, that abundance is something to be embraced rather than resented. A woman who had struggled with envy all her life came to Dr. Bora Joseph Murphy, confessing that she could not stand to see others succeed while she remained poor, that every time she heard of someone else's good fortune she felt bitter and angry, and Dr. Joseph Murphy gave her an assignment, telling her to spend 1 month blessing everyone she saw who had more than her, to send good wishes to wealthy people, to affirm that their prosperity was wonderful and that she too was prosperous, and though it was difficult at first, she persisted. And by the end of the month, her envy had dissolved, her bitterness had lifted, and she found herself genuinely happy for others. And shortly after this shift in consciousness, her own financial circumstances began to improve dramatically. Bless everyone who prospers, rejoice in every success you witness, and know that there is more than enough for all. The infinite intelligence within you knows exactly how to bring prosperity into your life. It knows the right people for you to meet, the right opportunities for you to pursue, the right ideas for you to act upon. And your job is not to figure out all the details, not to worry about how your good will come, not to try to force results through human effort alone, but to plant the seeds of prosperity in your mind, to nurture them with faith and feeling, to trust the process, and to follow the guidance that comes from within. Many people block their prosperity by trying to control exactly how it will manifest. They decide that wealth must come through a specific job or a particular investment or a certain opportunity, and when that channel does not produce the results they expect, they become discouraged and lose faith, not realizing that the infinite intelligence may have a much better plan, a higher way, a greater good in store for them than they could ever imagine or devise. Dr. Joseph Murphy often told people to let go and let God, to release their attachment to specific outcomes, to trust that the wisdom within them would bring their good in the perfect way, at the perfect time. And those who followed this counsel discovered that prosperity came to them through channels they had never anticipated, through opportunities they had never considered, through means that far exceeded their human planning. A man who desperately wanted a promotion at work focused all his mental energy on getting that specific position, but when he was passed over, he felt devastated and defeated. Until he remembered the teaching about letting go and letting God, and he decided to release his attachment to that particular promotion and simply affirm that his prosperity was unfolding perfectly in ways known to the infinite intelligence, and within 2 months he was offered an entirely different position at another company with twice the salary and far better working conditions, a blessing that never would have come if he had received the original promotion he thought he wanted. Trust the process, release the details, and know that your good is coming in the perfect way. Giving is one of the most powerful ways to cure lack and limitation. For giving activates the law of circulation. It opens the channels of abundance. It demonstrates your faith in infinite supply. It breaks the grip of fear and scarcity. And it sets in motion spiritual forces that must return to you, multiplied, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. Many people who are struggling with lack make the mistake of holding tightly to every penny, refusing to give because they believe they do not have enough, clutching their money in fear. And this very clutching, this very fear, this very refusal to circulate is what keeps them in poverty, for they are acting from a consciousness of lack and therefore attracting more lack into their experience. Dr. Joseph Murphy taught that you must give before you can receive, that generosity is the key that unlocks the door to abundance, that when you give freely, joyfully, without resentment or fear, you are declaring to your subconscious mind and to the universe that you trust in infinite supply, that you believe there is more than enough, that you know that as you give, so shall you receive. A woman who could barely pay her bills came to Dr. Joseph Murphy asking for help, and he suggested that she begin tithing, giving 10% of whatever she received to spiritual or charitable purposes, and she protested that she could not afford to give anything, that she needed every cent just to survive. But Dr. Joseph Murphy explained that this was precisely the thinking that was keeping her poor, that she needed to break the cycle of lack by acting from abundance, and so she decided to try, giving a small amount from her next paycheck, and though it felt frightening at first, she noticed that somehow she still had enough for her needs, and as she continued to give regularly, her income began to increase. Unexpected money came to her from various sources, and within a year her financial situation had completely transformed. Not because she had more to begin with, but because she had demonstrated faith in the law of giving and receiving. Give, and it shall be given unto you, for this is the law that cannot fail. Your self-image plays a crucial role in your financial destiny, for you will always attract circumstances that match the way you see yourself. You will always earn what you believe you are worth. You will always receive what you believe you deserve. And if you see yourself as poor, as unworthy, as someone who never has enough, then no amount of effort or opportunity will change your situation until you change the way you see yourself. The subconscious mind is always working to create an outer reality that matches your inner self-concept. And if your self-image says you are destined for poverty, your subconscious will find ways to keep you poor. It will cause you to miss opportunities, make poor decisions, sabotage your success, and remain in lack no matter how hard you try to escape. Dr. Joseph Murphy emphasized that you must see yourself as prosperous. You must build a self-image of success. You must identify yourself with wealth, abundance, and overflow. You must say to yourself with conviction, I am a prosperous person. I am worthy of wealth. I deserve to live in abundance. I am capable of great financial success. And as you impress these ideas on your subconscious, your self-image will change, and your outer circumstances will follow. A young man who had grown up being told he would never amount to anything, that he was worthless, that he would always struggle, came to Dr. Joseph Murphy feeling hopeless about his future, and Dr. Joseph Murphy helped him see that these were not facts but false beliefs that had been programmed into his subconscious by others, and that he had the power to reprogram his mind with new beliefs, better beliefs, beliefs that would lead to prosperity rather than poverty. The young man began to work on his self-image, affirming daily that he was worthy, capable, deserving, and destined for success, visualizing himself as a prosperous person, treating himself with respect and dignity, and over time, his entire personality began to change. He carried himself differently, he spoke differently, he expected better, and as his self-image transformed, his outer world transformed with it, proving that the inner always creates the outer, that self-image is destiny, that you can never outperform the way you see yourself, but you can always change that image and rise to new heights of prosperity. Fear is the great enemy of prosperity. It is the thief that steals your abundance before it can manifest. It is the poison that corrupts your consciousness and blocks the flow of infinite supply. And if you want to cure lack and limitation in your life, you must cure the fear that has been feeding it. You must root out the anxiety about money that has taken up residence in your mind. You must cast out the terror of poverty that has been controlling your thoughts and keeping you trapped in the very conditions you dread. Fear of poverty is not a protection against poverty. It is a magnet for poverty. It is a creative force that attracts the very thing you fear, for the subconscious mind does not distinguish between what you want and what you fear. It simply manifests whatever you focus upon with intense emotion, and fear is one of the most intense emotions there is, which is why those who fear poverty often remain poor, while those who expect prosperity often become wealthy. Dr. Joseph Murphy explained that fear is faith in reverse. It is believing in what you do not want rather than what you do want. It is placing your trust in lack rather than abundance, in limitation rather than infinite supply. And when you understand this, you realize that overcoming fear is not just about feeling better, it is about redirecting your creative power from negative outcomes to positive ones. A man who had lived in constant fear of losing his job, of not having enough money, of ending up homeless and destitute, came to Dr. Joseph Murphy seeking relief from his anxiety. And Dr. Joseph Murphy taught him that his fear was not based on reality but on imagination, that he was using his powerful mind to create terrifying movies of future catastrophe, and that he could just as easily use that same imagination to create wonderful movies of future prosperity. The man began to practice replacing his fearful images with prosperous images. Every time a frightening thought arose, he would cancel it and substitute a picture of abundance. Every time he felt the grip of anxiety, he would take a breath and affirm his trust in infinite supply. And gradually the fear lost its power over him, his mind became calm and confident, and his financial situation improved as his inner state changed from fear to faith. You have the power to choose what you focus on. You have the ability to direct your imagination. You have control over your mental movies. So use this power wisely. Choose faith over fear. Choose trust over terror. And watch as your life transforms from lack to abundance. Expectation is a powerful creative force that shapes your experience and determines what you receive from life. For you tend to get what you expect. Your subconscious mind works to fulfill your expectations. The universe responds to your anticipation. And if you expect lack, you will receive lack. If you expect limitation, you will experience limitation. But if you expect abundance, if you anticipate prosperity, if you look forward to wealth with confident assurance, you will open yourself to receive the infinite supply that is always available to those who are ready to accept it. Many people say they want prosperity, but they do not really expect it. They hope for it, they wish for it, they dream about it, but deep down they do not believe it will happen to them. They expect to continue struggling, they anticipate more of the same lack they have always known, and this expectation of lack creates more lack. This anticipation of limitation produces more limitation. This belief in continued poverty perpetuates poverty. Dr. Joseph Murphy taught that expectation is the atmosphere in which miracles grow. It is the mental climate that allows prosperity to flourish. It is the soil in which the seeds of abundance take root and bring forth fruit. And when you cultivate an attitude of positive expectation, when you genuinely anticipate good, when you wake each morning expecting blessings and opportunities and abundance, you create the conditions for these things to manifest. A woman who had prayed for prosperity for years without results came to Dr. Joseph Murphy confused and discouraged, and he asked her what she expected to happen when she finished praying, and she admitted that she did not really expect anything to change, that she had prayed so long without results that she had given up expecting, and Dr. Joseph Murphy explained that this was precisely the problem, that her lack of expectation was canceling out her prayers, that she was planting seeds with one hand and digging them up with the other. She decided to change her expectation, to begin truly anticipating prosperity, to expect abundance as confidently as she expected the sun to rise, and as her expectation changed, her results changed, and within months she experienced a financial breakthrough that years of hopeless hoping had never produced. Expect abundance, anticipate prosperity, look forward to wealth, and your expectation will become your experience. Many people remain trapped in lack and limitation because they are still carrying the weight of past financial failures, still rehearsing old mistakes, still reliving former losses, still identifying themselves with previous poverty, and this attachment to the past keeps them anchored to conditions they wish to escape, prevents them from moving forward into prosperity, and creates a repetitive cycle of lack that seems impossible to break. But the past has no power over your present, except the power you give it through your continued attention. The failures of yesterday need not determine the successes of tomorrow. The poverty you experienced before does not have to be the poverty you experience now. And when you learn to release the past, to forgive yourself for mistakes, to let go of old financial traumas, you free yourself to create a new story, a prosperous story, an abundant story that is not limited by what has gone before. Dr. Joseph Murphy often counseled people to practice forgiveness toward themselves and others regarding money matters. For unforgiveness is a heavy chain that binds you to the past. Resentment toward those who may have cheated you or harmed you financially, guilt about your own poor decisions keeps you punishing yourself with continued lack. And none of these emotions serve your prosperity. They only perpetuate your poverty. A man who had lost everything in a failed business venture came to Dr. Joseph Murphy unable to move forward because he kept replaying his mistakes in his mind, kept blaming himself for being foolish, kept imagining what his life would be like if he had made different choices. And Dr. Joseph Murphy told him that this mental rehearsal of the past was the very thing keeping him stuck, that he needed to forgive himself completely, release the failure, learn whatever lessons it had to teach, and then turn his attention fully to the present and future. The man practiced this release. Every time memories of his failure arose, he would say to himself, "I forgive myself completely. I release this experience. I am free to create new prosperity now." And gradually the past lost its grip on him. His mind became clear and forward-focused. New ideas and opportunities began to appear, and he eventually built a new business far more successful than the one he had lost. Release the past and embrace your prosperous future. Prosperity consciousness is a state of mind in which you are aware of the infinite abundance of the universe, in which you feel connected to unlimited supply, in which you know deep in your heart that there is more than enough for everyone, that wealth is natural, that prosperity is your birthright, and cultivating this consciousness is the most important work you can do if you want to cure lack and limitation permanently. For outer wealth without inner prosperity consciousness will not last, while inner prosperity consciousness will inevitably produce outer wealth. Prosperity consciousness is not about how much money you have in your bank account. It is about how you think, how you feel, how you see yourself and your relationship to abundance. It is a quality of mind that the poorest person can develop and that the richest person may lack. And those who have it attract wealth naturally, while those who lack it struggle endlessly regardless of their circumstances. Dr. Joseph Murphy described prosperity consciousness as thinking from abundance rather than thinking about abundance. It is not longing for wealth from a place of lack, but knowing your wealth from a place of plenty. It is not hoping that someday you will prosper, but recognizing that you are already connected to infinite supply. It is a fundamental shift in identity from someone who wants prosperity to someone who is prosperity. A woman who had very little money but had developed true prosperity consciousness came to Dr. Joseph Murphy not seeking help but sharing her discovery, telling him that even though her bank account was small, she felt rich, she felt abundant, she felt secure in the knowledge that she was connected to infinite supply, and she had noticed that since developing this consciousness, money seemed to come to her easily. Opportunities appeared without effort, and she was steadily becoming more prosperous in outer ways as well. Dr. Joseph Murphy confirmed that she had discovered the secret, that prosperity consciousness is the cause and material wealth is the effect, that when you get the inner state right, the outer circumstances must follow, for this is the law of mind that never fails. Develop prosperity consciousness and wealth must come to you, for the outer always reflects the inner. The visible always mirrors the invisible, and the riches of the universe flow to those who know themselves to be one with infinite abundance. While the inner work of changing your consciousness is essential, you must also be willing to take action when inspiration comes, for the infinite intelligence within you will guide you to your prosperity through hunches, intuitions, ideas, and impulses. And your job is to trust this guidance and act upon it, to move your feet when you are prompted to move, to make the phone call when the idea arises, to pursue the opportunity when it presents itself, to say yes when the door opens before you. Many people do all the mental work of prosperity but fail to act when guidance comes. They affirm abundance and then ignore the prompting to start a new business. They visualize wealth and then dismiss the intuition to invest in a particular opportunity. They pray for supply and then fail to apply for the job that appears before them. And in doing so, they block their own prosperity, for the universe cannot deliver your good if you refuse to receive it through the channels it provides. Dr. Joseph Murphy taught that faith without works is dead, that you must demonstrate your faith through action, that when you have planted the seeds of prosperity in your mind, you must also be willing to harvest the crop when it appears, and this means taking action, moving forward, saying yes to the opportunities that the infinite intelligence places in your path. A man who had been affirming prosperity for months without results came to Dr. Joseph Murphy puzzled and frustrated, and after some discussion it became clear that the man had actually received several ideas and opportunities, but had dismissed them all as too risky, too difficult, or too uncertain. And Dr. Joseph Murphy explained that these were not random thoughts, but guidance from the infinite intelligence, that the universe was trying to deliver his prosperity, but he kept refusing the package, which was an idea for a small service business. And though he was afraid, he trusted the guidance, took the leap, and within a year his business was thriving, proving that inspired action is the bridge between inner prosperity and outer wealth. Listen for guidance, trust the prompting, take inspired action, and watch as the universe delivers your abundance through the doors you are willing to walk through. The company you keep and the conversations you engage in have a profound effect on your prosperity consciousness, for the people around you are constantly broadcasting their beliefs about money, their attitudes about wealth. And if you spend your time with those who think poverty, speak limitation, and expect lack, you will find their negative consciousness seeping into your own mind, contaminating your prosperity thinking and pulling you down to their level of scarcity. This does not mean you must abandon friends or family who are struggling, but it does mean you must be aware of the mental influences you are exposing yourself to. You must guard your consciousness against the contagion of poverty thinking. You must protect the seeds of abundance you have planted from the weeds of negativity that others may try to sow in your mental garden. Dr. Joseph Murphy often warned his students about the danger of negative associations, explaining that consciousness is contagious, that beliefs spread from person to person like a virus, that if you spend hours listening to people complain about how hard life is, how expensive everything is, how impossible it is to get ahead, you will begin to absorb these beliefs even if you do not consciously agree with them, and they will work in your subconscious to create lack in your experience. A young woman who had been making great progress in developing prosperity consciousness came to Dr. Joseph Murphy troubled because she seemed to be losing ground. Her positive attitude was fading, her faith in abundance was weakening, and she did not understand why, until Dr. Joseph Murphy asked her about the people she had been spending time with, and she realized that she had recently reconnected with old friends who were deeply negative about money, who constantly complained about their finances, who mocked her attempts at positive thinking, and she had been absorbing their poverty consciousness without realizing it. She made the difficult decision to limit her time with these negative influences and to seek out people who thought prosperously, who spoke abundance, who expected success. Her prosperity consciousness returned stronger than before, and her financial situation improved accordingly. Surround yourself with people who believe in abundance. Engage in conversations that lift you up rather than drag you down. Protect your mental environment as carefully as you would protect your physical environment, and you will find it much easier to maintain the prosperity consciousness that is the foundation of all wealth. One of the most powerful techniques for curing lack and limitation is the practice of acting as if you were already prosperous. For when you act wealthy, you send a powerful message to your subconscious mind that wealth is your reality. You create new neural pathways that support prosperity. You shift your energy to match the frequency of abundance, and you begin to attract circumstances that correspond to your new way of being. This does not mean spending money you do not have or pretending to be rich in foolish ways, but rather carrying yourself with the dignity and confidence of a prosperous person, making decisions from abundance rather than fear, treating yourself with respect, and conducting your affairs as someone who knows their good is assured. Dr. Joseph Murphy explained that the subconscious mind learns through repetition and impression, and when you consistently act as if you were prosperous, you impress the idea of prosperity upon your subconscious. You program it to seek out and recognize opportunities for abundance, and it responds by working to create outer circumstances that match your inner performance. A man who was struggling financially decided to experiment with this principle. He began to carry himself differently, to walk with confidence, to speak with authority, to dress neatly and present himself well, to make decisions from a place of abundance rather than desperation, to act in every way as if he were already the prosperous person he wished to become, and though he felt awkward at first, like an actor playing a role, he persisted in his performance, and gradually the role became natural. His self-image shifted, his confidence grew genuine, and opportunities began to appear that matched his new way of being. Dr. Joseph Murphy saw this transformation and explained that the man had discovered a great secret, that by acting as if he was prosperous, he had impressed prosperity upon his subconscious, and his subconscious had responded by attracting the circumstances to make it so. You do not have to wait until you are wealthy to act wealthy. You do not have to wait until you feel confident to act confident. You do not have to wait until prosperity arrives to behave prosperously. For the acting comes first and the reality follows. The performance precedes the manifestation, and as you consistently act from abundance, you will become abundant. Sleep is a sacred time when your subconscious mind is most receptive, most impressionable, most open to receiving the ideas and images you wish to plant within it, and the thoughts you hold as you drift off to sleep have tremendous power to shape your experience. for they are the last instructions you give to your subconscious before it spends the night processing, organizing, and manifesting according to the patterns you have provided. If you fall asleep worrying about money, rehearsing your debts, fearing poverty, you are giving your subconscious negative instructions that it will work to fulfill. But if you fall asleep feeling grateful for abundance, visualizing prosperity, affirming wealth, you are programming your subconscious for success, and it will work through the night to bring your prosperous visions into reality. Dr. Joseph Murphy placed great emphasis on this sleepy state, calling it the most powerful time for mental programming, explaining that the conscious mind relaxes its guard as you drift towards sleep, allowing suggestions to pass directly into the subconscious without resistance, without analysis, without doubt, and whatever ideas you impress upon your mind in this receptive state will take root deeply and produce powerful results. A woman who had tried many techniques for prosperity without success came to Dr. Joseph Murphy asking what she was doing wrong, and he asked her what she thought about as she fell asleep each night, and she admitted that she lay in bed worrying about her bills, calculating her debts, wondering how she would survive, and Dr. Joseph Murphy explained that these bedtime worries were sabotaging all her daytime efforts, that she was undoing her positive work by giving negative instructions to her subconscious every night. He taught her to use the sleepy state for prosperity programming, to lie in bed repeating the phrase wealth and success as she drifted off, to feel the feelings of abundance as she surrendered to sleep, to let the last thought in her mind each night be a thought of prosperity, and she followed his instructions faithfully. And within weeks she noticed changes. New ideas came to her. Unexpected opportunities appeared. Her attitude improved, and her financial situation began to transform as her subconscious worked through the night to fulfill the prosperous instructions she was giving it. Use the power of sleep to program your subconscious for abundance. Persistence is essential on the path from lack to abundance, for the transformation of consciousness does not happen overnight. The reprogramming of the subconscious takes time and repetition. The manifestation of prosperity in the outer world requires patience, and many people give up too soon, abandoning their mental work just before the breakthrough was about to come, quitting their prosperity practices right before the harvest was ready. You must understand that there is often a delay between planting and reaping, between impressing an idea on the subconscious and seeing it manifest in the outer world, between doing the inner work and experiencing the outer results. And during this delay period, you must persist. You must continue your affirmations even when nothing seems to be changing. You must maintain your visualizations even when your circumstances remain the same. You must keep the faith even when the evidence is not yet visible. Dr. Joseph Murphy compared this process to planting a seed in the ground, explaining that when a farmer plants a seed, he does not dig it up every day to see if it is growing. He trusts the process. He knows that the seed is doing its work underground even though he cannot see it, and he waits patiently for the harvest, continuing to water and tend the soil even during the waiting period. A man who had been doing prosperity work for 3 months without visible results came to Dr. Joseph Murphy ready to quit, saying that the techniques did not work, that nothing had changed, that he was wasting his time, and Dr. Valencer, Joseph Murphy asked him if he would plant a tree and then cut it down after 3 months, because it had not yet produced fruit. And the man understood the message. He realized that he was expecting results too quickly, that he was impatient with the process, that he was ready to abandon the work just when his subconscious was beginning to accept the new ideas. He decided to persist for at least 1 year regardless of results, to continue his daily practice with faith and patience, and within 6 months the breakthrough came. Opportunities appeared, his income increased, and he saw clearly that his persistence had been rewarded, that the seeds he had planted had finally broken through the soil and were bearing fruit. Do not give up. Do not lose faith. Do not abandon your prosperity work. Persist until the manifestation comes. The way you think about wealthy people reveals much about your own relationship with prosperity. For if you resent the rich, if you criticize those who have money, if you believe that wealthy people are greedy, dishonest, or selfish, you are creating a powerful block to your own abundance. You are telling your subconscious that wealth is bad, that prosperity is something to be avoided, that having money would make you a person worthy of criticism, and your subconscious, wanting to protect you from becoming something you despise, will keep you safely poor. Many people do not realize that their judgments about wealthy people are actually judgments about wealth itself, that when they say negative things about the rich, they are programming their minds against riches, that when they resent someone else's success, they are pushing success away from themselves, and this hidden hostility toward wealth keeps them trapped in the very lack they wish to escape. Dr. Joseph Murphy taught that you must bless what you want to attract. You must appreciate in others what you wish to have yourself. You must see wealth as good wherever you find it. You must rejoice in the prosperity of others as evidence that prosperity is possible, as proof that abundance exists, as demonstration that the same wealth can come to you. A man who had struggled with money all his life came to Dr. Joseph Murphy filled with anger toward rich people, believing they had cheated their way to wealth, convinced that no one could become prosperous honestly, certain that the wealthy were the cause of his own poverty, and Dr. Joseph Murphy helped him see that this attitude was the very chain that bound him to lack, that his resentment was a powerful prayer for continued poverty, that he could not attract what he condemned or receive what he criticized. The man began to change his attitude, blessing wealthy people instead of resenting them, seeing prosperity as good rather than evil, appreciating success wherever he found it. And as his attitude changed, his circumstances changed. Doors opened that had been closed, and he discovered that when he stopped pushing wealth away with his criticism, he became able to receive it into his own life. Bless the prosperous, and prosperity will bless you. Your relationship with money is a reflection of your relationship with yourself. And if you do not value yourself, if you do not believe you are worthy of good things, if you carry shame or guilt or feelings of inadequacy, these inner conditions will manifest as lack in your outer world. For the universe can only give you what you believe you deserve. Your subconscious can only attract what matches your sense of self-worth, and no amount of affirmation or visualization will bring lasting prosperity if deep down you feel unworthy of receiving it. Many people sabotage their own abundance because they carry unconscious beliefs that they do not deserve wealth, that they are not good enough for prosperity, that money should go to others but not to them. And these hidden beliefs work silently beneath the surface to repel the very abundance they consciously seek, to block the prosperity that is trying to flow into their lives, to create patterns of self-sabotage that keep them trapped in lack no matter how hard they try to escape. Dr. Joseph Murphy understood that healing the sense of unworthiness is often the key to unlocking prosperity, that before you can receive abundance, you must believe you deserve abundance, that the feeling of deserving is not arrogance, but alignment with the truth that you are a child of the infinite, an heir to all the riches of the kingdom, a divine being worthy of every good thing. A woman who had worked diligently on prosperity techniques without results came to Dr. Joseph Murphy in frustration, and as they talked it became clear that she carried deep feelings of unworthiness from her past. She had been told as a young person that she was not good enough, that she did not deserve nice things, that she should not expect much from life, and these early messages had lodged in her subconscious where they continued to operate, blocking her prosperity even as she consciously affirmed abundance. Joseph Murphy helped her see that these old beliefs were lies, that she was infinitely worthy, that she deserved all the good the universe had to offer, and he gave her affirmations specifically designed to heal her sense of unworthiness. I deserve prosperity. I am good enough to receive wealth. And as she worked with these affirmations, her feelings about herself began to change. The old shame began to dissolve. And with the healing of her self-worth, for she had removed the inner block that had been keeping her good away. You are worthy of abundance simply because you exist. You deserve prosperity because you are a child of the infinite. And when you truly accept your worthiness, wealth will flow to you naturally. The universe operates according to law, and one of the most important laws governing prosperity is the law of circulation, which states that abundance must flow, that wealth must move, that money must circulate to remain healthy and growing, and when you try to hoard your good, when you clutch your money in fear, when you stop the flow of giving and receiving, you create stagnation. You block the current of prosperity. You dam up the river of abundance and cause it to become a stagnant pool rather than a living stream. Money is meant to circulate. It is a medium of exchange, a symbol of energy moving from person to person. And when you participate joyfully in this circulation, giving freely and receiving gratefully, spending wisely and earning abundantly, you align yourself with the natural flow of prosperity, and abundance comes to you easily and continuously. Dr. Joseph Murphy compared money to blood in the body, explaining that blood must circulate to keep the body healthy. That if blood stops flowing in any part of the body, that part becomes diseased. And in the same way, money must circulate in your life to keep your finances healthy. And if you stop the circulation through fear or hoarding, your financial life becomes diseased with lack. A man who had accumulated some savings became so afraid of losing them that he stopped spending entirely. He denied himself even basic pleasures. He refused to give to charity. He clutched his money with white-knuckled fear. They actually began to shrink. Unexpected expenses arose, his income decreased, and he found himself with less and less despite all his efforts to hold on because he had stopped the circulation and created stagnation in his financial life. He was told that he must release his grip. He must allow money to flow through his life. He must give joyfully and spend wisely and trust that as he circulated his good, more good would flow to him, and though it was frightening at first, he began to practice healthy circulation, and his finances began to recover. His income increased, opportunities appeared, and he learned that prosperity flows to those who keep the channels open, not to those who dam them up with fear. Let your money circulate, let your abundance flow, give and receive with joy, and the river of prosperity will never run dry. Patience is a virtue that is essential on the journey from lack to abundance. For the transformation you seek does not happen in a day. The reprogramming of your subconscious takes time. The manifestation of prosperity in your outer world unfolds according to a divine timing that may not match your human impatience, and you must learn to trust the process, to maintain your faith during the waiting period, to continue your mental work even when results are not yet visible, knowing that the seeds you have planted are growing beneath the surface and will break through into manifestation at the perfect time. Many people begin prosperity practices with great enthusiasm, only to become discouraged when immediate results do not appear. They expect instant wealth, and when it does not come, they conclude that the techniques do not work, that the laws are false, that they are somehow different from others who have succeeded, but the truth is that they simply gave up too soon. They lacked the patience to allow the process to complete. They pulled up the seeds before they could sprout. Dr. Joseph Murphy counseled patience to all his students, reminding them that nature does not hurry yet, everything is accomplished, that the oak tree takes years to grow from an acorn, that the diamond is formed over centuries of pressure, that all great things require time to develop, and prosperity consciousness is no exception. It grows gradually, it deepens slowly, it produces results over time rather than overnight. A woman who had been working with prosperity principles for several months came to Dr. Joseph Murphy feeling discouraged because her circumstances had not yet changed dramatically, and Joseph Murphy asked her if she felt any different inside, if her attitude toward money had shifted, if her fear had decreased and her faith had increased, and she admitted that yes, she did feel different. She was calmer about money, less anxious, more trusting, and Dr. Joseph Murphy explained that this inner change was the real transformation, that the outer results would follow in due time, that she was on the right path and simply needed to continue with patience and persistence. She took his counsel to heart. She maintained her practice without demanding immediate results. She trusted the process, and within the year her outer circumstances had transformed to match her inner transformation, proving that patience is rewarded, that faith is justified, that those who persist in the right mental work will inevitably see the prosperous results. Be patient with the process and trust that your good is on its way. As you progress on this journey from lack to abundance, you will discover that prosperity is not just about money. It is about richness in every area of life. It is about abundance of health, wealth of relationships, plenty of joy, overflow of peace, surplus of love. And the same principles that cure lack and limitation in your finances will cure lack and limitation in every other department of your experience. For the law of mind is universal. It applies to all areas equally. And when you learn to think abundantly, you will experience abundance in all its forms. Many people focus so narrowly on financial prosperity that they neglect the other riches that make life worth living. They pursue money while ignoring health. They chase wealth while sacrificing relationships. They accumulate assets while losing peace of mind. And in the end, they find that money alone does not satisfy, that financial abundance without emotional, spiritual, and relational abundance leaves them feeling empty and unfulfilled. Dr. Joseph Murphy taught that true prosperity is wholeness. It is having enough money, yes, but also enough health to enjoy it, enough love to share it, enough peace to appreciate it, enough purpose to direct it toward good. And when you expand your concept of prosperity to include all these dimensions, you open yourself to receive a fullness of blessing that mere money could never provide. A wealthy man who had everything money could buy came to Dr. Joseph Murphy feeling miserable, for despite his riches, he was sick in body, lonely in heart, anxious in mind, and empty in spirit. Joseph Murphy helped him see that he had achieved only one dimension of prosperity while neglecting all the others, that he needed to apply the same principles to his health, his relationships, his peace of mind, his spiritual life. As he expanded his prosperity thinking to include all areas, he began to experience true abundance, the rich, full life that money alone could never purchase. As you cure lack and limitation in your finances, apply these same principles everywhere. Affirm abundance in health. Visualize prosperity in relationships. Expect overflow in joy. Claim plenty in peace. And you will discover that the prosperous life is not just about money, but about richness in every dimension of your beautiful existence. You have now received the keys to cure lack and limitation forever. You have learned the laws that govern prosperity. You have discovered the techniques that transform consciousness. You have been given the tools that can take you from poverty to plenty, from want to overflow, and all that remains is for you to apply what you have learned, to practice what you have been taught, to make these principles a living part of your daily experience until prosperity consciousness becomes your natural state and abundance becomes your inevitable experience. The knowledge you have gained is powerful, but knowledge alone will not change your life. You must put it into practice. You must do the daily work of affirmation and visualization. You must guard your thoughts and speak words of abundance. You must feel the feelings of prosperity and act as if wealth is already yours. You must persist through the waiting period and trust the process until manifestation comes, for these teachings only work when they are worked. These keys only open doors when they are used. Dr. Joseph Murphy often said that the truth that sets you free is the truth that you use, not the truth that you merely know. And many people have heard these prosperity teachings. Many have read the books and attended the lectures and nodded their heads in agreement, but only those who actually apply the principles see the results. Only those who do the daily practice experience the transformation. Only those who persist in the work reap the abundant harvest. Let this teaching be different for you. Let this be the turning point where you move from learning to doing, from knowing to applying, from hoping to demonstrating. Take these principles and use them every single day. Make prosperity thinking your habitual way of being. Refuse to return to the old lack consciousness no matter what appearances may suggest, and you will prove for yourself that these laws work, that abundance is real, that you are indeed connected to infinite supply. The cure for lack and limitation is in your hands. The power to prosper is within you. The kingdom of abundance awaits your claiming. And as you go forth from this teaching, go with confidence, go with faith, go with the absolute certainty that you are a child of the infinite, a divine being destined for prosperity, and all the riches of the universe are yours to claim, to enjoy, to share, and to celebrate forever and ever.